What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. There's lots of exciting news to go over here this week, but before I get into the news, I first want to give a huge thank you to AeroPress for sponsoring this video. Be sure to stick around until later in the video to hear more about AeroPress and to get access to their Black Friday sale for some great discounts. I also wanted to mention I'll be doing my usual weekly live stream this Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so join if you can. It's always a good time hanging out. But first, getting into the biggest news story here this week, potentially, it's kind of unclear which way this story's going, so let me know what you think about this in the comments below once I get through it here. But Hyundai has revealed already, the refreshed 2024 Elantra N. We've already seen it, and at LA they showed off the American version here fully, and they also revealed, by the way, that it's going to be showing up in US dealers starting in January, so coming a little quicker than I honestly expected, which is also good news there. But so as a refresher, it continues to use the 2-liter turbo 4 with 276 horsepower that's carried over from the pre-refreshed Elantra N, but does get new styling. There's software and gearbox tweaks along with a few other tiny changes. But this week we got some new info here on what could be coming next for the Elantra N, thanks to a new interview that Australian magazine Car Expert did with Albert Bierman, who's the executive technical advisor for Hyundai and is also the man behind all the great Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis products that we've seen over the past 5 years or so here. And so sadly it sounds like he may actually be retiring, or at least stepping away from things the way he's currently doing them. We'll have to see about that. But anyway, about a year ago he confirmed that the next generation Elantra N is going to be still powered by gas. It's still coming. I reported on that last year. It was great news. With all this electrification, we're still going to have a gas-powered Elantra N. It was awesome. But now it seems like it might be a little bit different, so he's given an update on the car now. So he said to Car Expert, "Before I left Namyang, I made sure the Elantra can go on with the 2.5 turbo. It fits in there and everything. Australia is safe, the US is safe, but someone needs to make a decision, right? And other markets other than Australia, forget them. They're all dreaming of the EV cloud, EV heaven. They don't care for combustion cars." Which is also a funny quote, and clearly he seems pretty passionate about that whole switchover, which is kind of interesting to see here within the industry. But Car Expert claims that this means, according to their headlines and stuff, that the 2.5T motor is coming to the current generation Elantra N at some point. That's how they took it. Now, I don't know if there's something that was said beyond the quoted statements here that had them reach that conclusion, but that quote didn't guarantee it. It just said it fits, but someone's needing to make a decision, and that's not his decision to make anymore. So, that to me seems like there's some ambiguity there. So, we'll see, but there's more here to it. So, Mr. Bierman added, "I think within this year there will be a decision if we continue next generation Elantra with an N or not. Technically, it's possible." So, again, now we're wishy-washy on it. So there's two different ways we could take this. So either something changed in the last year and what was supposedly certain last year to be coming for the next generation Elantra is now no longer a guarantee, or whenever he was referencing the next generation, maybe he could have been talking about the next revision, and he was just talking about this 2024 refresh, and that's what they were saying last year, we're going to have a new version of the Elantra N with gas power. And that's kind of, because that could have made sense, because we were seeing the Veloster go away last year, and it could have been like that whole thing of, reassuring people the Elantra will stick around, it's getting a refresh, and that's what he's saying. Or maybe he truly meant a next generation version last year, and now that might be called into question here. We'll see. It also sounds like the 2.5T motor isn't going to just be dropped in from other vehicles that get that motor currently, and there's still some work to be done supposedly to make this motor N capable, because I guess they would do more to it here. And so he's added here another thing saying, "With a 2.5-liter turbo with the stricter emissions regulations, I think we can still have some good level of power, maybe same level like today, but that engine first needs the N treatment." So he could be talking about some more aggressive engine tuning or just more cooling, for track use with that motor or something like that. We'll see. But that also is another thing that makes it called into question, because if they have to do more work to do it, that's extra development dollars, time, especially if you're putting it into a vehicle that doesn't have a long life cycle. If we're talking about the current generation vehicle, and then especially again, depending on how things play out for the next generation, maybe with the loosening regulations, that will be a guarantee going forward. And it's also interesting, that he's mentioning the emissions regulations that are getting stricter, because they're not really getting stricter now with the Euro 7 thing basically being dropped. Everyone's basically got a lifeline until 2035. They just do whatever they want. So, I feel like I don't know why he's saying this. It seems like this interview was recent, so I feel like this has been done after that was all dropped, and he should obviously be aware of that. So I'm not sure what he's referencing as far as stricter emissions regulations here, but regardless, it seems like the consensus here is at least he's pushing for more Elantra Ns that are gas powered with a 2.5 turbo motor, which we now know fits and is possible, and that's it. So we will see beyond that what happens. I'm hoping that we do get it, but honestly, even if we continue to keep up with the 2-liter, that would be great as well. Because the other thing about the 2.5, he didn't give any guarantees here about the manual transmission, because that's extra work also they'd have to do if they wanted. I don't believe that transmission would just bolt right up to the 2.5T, even at its existing power levels. Maybe it can handle a little more power. I'm not sure what the capabilities of that transmission are, but that could be another thing. You might go automatic only, dual clutch only for the new Elantra N if it does get that motor. So it might be kind of bittersweet depending on how you fall on that whole thing. But so we'll see about that. But just good that they're working on the Elantra N still, that there's, we have the great refresh as it is, and especially if you're a manual lover, get the refresh. Don't wait for a new 2.5T version, because, there's no guarantees that that's actually going to be what, everyone wants. And if it's even going to happen. So, I'm very excited for the 2024 refresh. Sounds like they made some great improvements to everything. And but anyway, interesting to get some more info there on the potential next generation version. But getting back to AeroPress for a minute here, it's a cool and unique way to make coffee. It uses 3-in-1 brew technology that gives you control over the brewing process to tweak the taste to your liking, whether you're in the mood for espresso style, Americano, cold brew, or something else. You simply put the filter into the cap and twist it onto the chamber, park it on a mug, pour in 1 heaping scoop of your favorite ground coffee, level it out, add your water, stir for 10 seconds, gently press the plunger down, pausing when you feel resistance, and then enjoy. The flavor is so rich you don't even need cream, and it's a great improvement over the boring pod coffee that I usually settled for in the past, or the expensive and time-consuming coffee shops, all while allowing you to be your own barista. Plus, with thousands of 5-star reviews across 60 different countries, where taste can certainly vary, and a 1-year warranty, the AeroPress makes a perfect gift for the coffee lovers in your life. So don't miss those Black Friday deals. Head over to aeropress.com/MMMBF to treat yourself and those you love to better tasting coffee. In some other Hyundai N news here, another Australian outlet, drive.com.au, is claiming, without citing any sources, so they're just literally throwing this rumor out there completely unfounded, but they understand, is what they keep saying. They understand that the Ioniq 6N will arrive in 2025, and it'll be an even more powerful than the Ioniq 5N, which is the curveball here, because, we've got a pretty good idea already what the Ioniq 6N is going to be like based off of the RN22E concept that we saw last year, and Hyundai themselves even confirmed that was a glimpse of an upcoming EVN, and it's an Ioniq 6, so obviously it's an Ioniq 6N. I don't know why they didn't just call it the Ioniq 6N prototype or something, but regardless, that's what's coming. We all knew it was basically coming. Hyundai has told us it's coming. No, ambiguity there. But the rumored extra power is a surprise here because, considering the 641 horsepower we're getting in the Ioniq 5N, you put that in the slightly lighter Ioniq 6 that's lower, that's better handling, that's smaller, that's going to make it a more dynamic car and an upgrade over the 5 already. Do you need more power than that? I mean, I'm not going to say no, but, it seems like they're going to push it even a little bit further for that one, make it even more hardcore, which is awesome. We'll have to wait and see. Again, kind of like a no-brainer story here, but as far as the power rumor there, I was not expecting more power. So a good surprise there. If that turns out to be true, we'll have to wait and see. And the last Hyundai news story here this week is the official partial debut here of the 2025 Tucson in Korea, which gets a lighter refresh than other recent Hyundais that we've seen recently, but does get some great improvements, especially inside. But first, on the outside here, it gets subtle changes to the grille and the lights, with one less grille light than before there, and there's a wider faux skid plate than before as well. There's no pictures of the back end yet, but looking at the side profile, it seems like at least the taillights are about the same shape as before. The interior gets a total rework though, thankfully throwing out the entirely capacitive touch center stack and bringing back real buttons and knobs again. Hooray! So good to see that. It also gets the new generation dual 12 12.3-inch screen setup, along with the huge shelf you see there on the passenger side. There's also the new steering wheel we saw in the Kona and the Sonata that includes the gear shifter and a new center console that now has room for a big wireless charging pad thanks to the shifter removal. Hyundai also already announced that the 2024 model will be a carryover one for us here, so we'll probably have to wait for the US reveal to get more info on a potential release date, but I mean, this will be a 2025, so I wouldn't expect it any earlier than, spring of 2024 here, maybe even summer potentially, but great to see the partial reveal there. I think it's a great improvement. And I think the Tucson looks really good, so I think they didn't really need to do much on the outside, so I'm glad they kind of, kept it more conservative, but that interior is a huge improvement. Great to see that. Moving on to Stellantis here this week. We got a loaded story here thanks to the new UAW agreement here. We have a bunch of details on future models and a timeline for when we can expect all these future models as well. So the agreement lists out a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us any details on any of the new additions to the Stellantis lineups that we've heard about as far as just new models, and we don't know. None of this stuff talks about like the Dodge muscle cars. Doesn't talk about like the Chryslers that are supposed to be coming, and other things as well. But and there's also the caveat here that these are plans. These plans could also change. So although this is a set timeline and this is what they're telling the union workers, there's still things change, so I mean this could also fluctuate a little bit, but we still got a huge treasure trove of information here to go into, so let's get into all of it. It goes all the way up for the whole timeline of this UAW agreement, which goes through 2028, so that's what we have up till 2028 is for all the info here. So first off, they're saying that all new midsize trucks, plural, are coming in 2027. So this appears to clear up some of the confusion about what exactly was going to be coming as far as the trucks goes, and it seems like we won't be getting the Brazilian Rampage that Ram just put out there, although that is technically a compact truck as far as this classification, so that could still potentially come. But whatever they're talking about for Belvedere here, for that Belvedere plant, is going to be a true mid-sized Ram, and so we'll have to wait and see what form that takes. But also it's not coming very soon either, because that one's coming again in 2027, so we still got another at least three and a half years to go for that one. But great to hear that nonetheless. And beyond that, it also, speaking of trucks plural, what the other one's going to be, it could be that Gladiator production ends up moving there as well, or it could be something else entirely for Jeep or another brand. We'll have to wait and see about that, but that's also, an interesting new thing there. And again, another mid-sized truck specifically, so not, a Maverick competitor or something like that. It's going to be, multiple mid-sized trucks, which is great. Speaking of trucks here, though, the plans show that the current generation Gladiator will continue into 2028. So there could be some overlap if, the new gen Gladiator is one of those trucks that's, considered a mid-sized truck, at Belvedere there. That could go either way. So either the Gladiator could be done after 2028 and make room for something new, or there could be a little bit of overlap there where Gladiator gets built through 2028, but we also get a new version in 2027, kind of how we have the Ram Classic still and the new Ram 1500 even many years later here, amazingly. So we'll have to see about that. And also could just be that the Gladiator will continue beyond the scope of this agreement. Again, it just says through 2028, so it could go beyond that, and they could milk the Gladiator for a long time potentially as well. We'll see. The current JL Wrangler will also continue into 2028, but in 2028, a new generation called J70 will arrive. They say includes BEV and REPB. That means an EV Wrangler and the range extender electric platform that we saw in the Ram Charger. That's the name for that platform, the REPB. So whether the Wrangler continues with other gas-powered versions, that remains to be seen, because they say it just includes battery electric in the range extender thing. Not that it's only those, so we will see how that one plays out. A lot of other headlines are saying, oh, it's the end of the gas Wrangler. Obviously, even with the range extender thing, you'll still have a gas-powered Wrangler, so don't have to clutch your pearls hearing those headlines there. But we'll see how that all plays out. But, it's interesting. We'll be getting, that range extender thing in other products here outside of the Ram. And also, the electric one should be interesting as well. Also, both the current Wrangler and Gladiator will get an upgraded 4xe setup in 2025. And so that's when we can finally expect the Gladiator 4xe. I was hoping it would be even a little sooner. like 2024 calendar year, as a 2025 model year, but this would be suggesting a 2026 model year, I'm guessing, or late 2025. We'll see. But anyway, so that's when that's coming. The Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer will also continue into 2028 as well, with a refresh in 2025 that will also introduce a range extender version on the STLA frame platform. So that means it's a pretty certain bet it's just going to be the exact Ram charger setup tossed into the Wagoneer. It should bolt right up, I'm sure, considering the Ram basis of the Wagoneer anyway, and should be, just a direct carryover there. So, but that would be really cool, and, it's cool to see it in the Ram and expanding to other things. I think it's a great idea. Stellantis clearly thinks this is a great idea. They're spreading it out to the Wrangler and to the Wagoneers here, and I think that's great. So, also for the Wagoneers, in 2027, it'll get a second refresh that also introduces a fully electric version. I'm surprised that's coming 2 years after the range extender version, but that also is most likely going to use the Ram Rev setup. Maybe by 2027 here we'll have some battery improvements and some other changes, but could also just be a port over as well. And it's also surprising that they're introducing these so late in the Wagoneer's life, again, unless the Wagoneer will live beyond the 2028 scope of this agreement, and it'll be, an even longer life cycle than that. But even still, even in 2027, even if it goes till 2030 or something like that, it's still only a few years there of that. But anyway, I guess they can't get it out any sooner for whatever reason. And lastly, for Jeep plans here, the Grand Cherokee will get a refresh in 2024 and continue through 2027 for the 2-row version and into 2028 for the 3-row version, which will live, I guess, 1 year longer, with the next generation Grand Cherokee, codenamed J6U, arriving in 2027 that includes both gas and electric powertrains. So no range extender for that one, I guess. At least not according to their current plans here. But great to see that you'll have the choice still, even in 2027, of gas and electric. So, anyone, again, terrified of having no gas options, tomorrow, that's not the case. You're going to have gas options here, even a brand new Grand Cherokee in 2027. The final vehicle that we got info on here is the new Dodge Durango, finally, with plans showing that it's going to have its current version continue through 2025 still. For I don't know when they debuted that. It's at least 10 years old already, I think. And it's just going to, keep going even longer here until 2025 and finally be replaced by a next generation version codenamed D6U. So clearly very closely related to the new Grand Cherokee there with its J6U, and this is D6U. So that'll be coming in 2026 for the new Durango. And that also, they say, will include both gas and electric versions. So, again, you don't have to worry about, gas Durangos dying off. We'll still have a brand new generation here in a few years. And so, yes, that is all of the plans here for Stellantis so far as what they're willing to share and what they had to share, I guess, in this agreement. Obviously, Stellantis probably didn't want to share any of this, but they had to, again, for this agreement. But still lots of unknowns here, as far as all the other stuff, that we've heard is coming, with other Wagoneers and other, products and stuff. And again, all the Dodge stuff, all the Chrysler stuff, all complete mysteries. No info on, Alfa Romeo or anything either here. So obviously this is just US-based stuff. So I guess maybe that's how they got out of, some of the Dodge stuff there. But still, very interesting to hear all that info. And looking forward to hopefully getting some more info here on the other stuff like the new Charger and stuff, hopefully sooner rather than later. For some much more immediate news here at Jeep, the Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer have finally officially dropped the V8 entirely for the 2024 model year, much like we were expecting. We were hearing about this, and but now it's finally been confirmed and official, and they put it out in a press release here. And so this now means that the regular Wagoneer gets the twin-turbo Hurricane inline 6 with 420 horsepower, with the Grand Wagoneer getting the punchier version of that motor with 510 horsepower, but that one also requires premium gas. The base Wagoneer with its lower horsepower version, that one does not require premium or recommend premium. It's still recommended in the top one, so I guess you could still run 87 and probably get away with it, I'm guessing. Consult your owner's manual, but I think that's just probably part of how they're getting those higher numbers as well. And so just be warned, because you can get away, I believe, with regular gas in the old 6.4 liter Grand Wagoneer. So now you're gonna have to put premium in it, which is gonna make it extra painful with that massive thing, and it's very thirsty still, I'm sure, even with the Hurricane 6 and the massive tank of gas. That's gonna be painful with premium. But anyway, so just a public service announcement here: if you want to get a V8 Wagoneer, hurry up and track down a 2023 on the lot while you can, because there's not going to be very many of them left here in short time. So anyway, interesting to see that. And the last quick little Stellantis news story here is that Alfa Romeo has teased what appears to be a new version of the Tonale, or something that has identical taillights to the Tonale at least, along with the tagline of "A New Era Begins." And the easy guess here is, what everyone's been saying is that it's probably going to just be an electric version of the Tonale, which certainly could make sense. And about a year and a half ago, executives at Alfa said that they could do one, that I guess it's technically possible, but that it hadn't been decided at that point. That was, again, a year and a half ago. So that could be what this is. But also back in the summer, they also teased, I don't know if it was the US branch, but I think European-wise, they teased a new Alfa Romeo that could potentially be their first EV. And that could be potentially, something different than the Tonale. So maybe we get a baby Tonale, maybe just for Europe. Maybe this isn't, a teaser that applies to the States. But anyway, we'll see what ends up happening there. And interesting to get that little teaser. Pagani this week has also teased what appears to be a Roadster version of the Huayra Imola that debuted in 2019 as the most extreme version of the Huayra. And only 5 of those were built. And so even though the Utopia already was debuted about a year ago now, over a year ago, as the Huayra's successor, it seems like the Huayra may continue to live on with special editions, much like the Zonda did with its life cycle that continued beyond the Huayra's introduction, about 10 years or so ago. And so anyway, as far as this Imola Roadster, there's no info on it yet, but of course it looks wild, looks very impressive. I believe, the regular Imola was street legal still, so this could still be a street legal car. I'm sure they're all sold out, and I'm sure they're only making 5 or 10 of them again, and so anyway, cool to see nonetheless, though. But for the last news story here this week, Chevy has announced the final 650 horsepower LT4 supercharged V8 for the Camaro was built this week ahead of the end of Camaro production in general. That'll be happening in January. And so the glorious 6.2 liter pushrod motor will continue to live on, in its enhanced form. We see it in the CT5V Blackwing and the Escalade V. Those are still continuing. Those are continuing to be built, but they're just different than the one here in the Camaro. And so it's really sad to see it come to an end in the Camaro, and just to see the Camaro coming to an end here shortly as well. It's just really, really sad. And so since I have my delicious AeroPress coffee here, I'm going to make myself a sloppy Irish coffee here. And so going to cheers the supercharged Camaro. It's really a shame that it's, obviously going away and the Camaro's going away. And, I really hope that Chevy surprises us with a 7th generation Camaro that's actually gas-powered and two-door and exciting. But I'm certainly not holding my breath for that. So in the meantime, cheers to a supercharged Camaro, possibly the last one we'll ever see. It was a good run. It's an amazing car. It was one of my wildest reactions at the time. And it was a blast to drive. They're really, really special cars. Highly recommend them if you're someone that's ever considering one. But cheers to that beautiful LT4 motor. It's a heck of a motor. Lastly, I want to thank all of you that are members of the Maran Motoring Club. So we did have a few new members join this week, and I'm extra thankful this week in this Thanksgiving weekend here for all of you that support the channel financially. It really means a lot. I really appreciate all of you that have been members here. Some of you for well over a year, almost 2 years now at this point. I'm so grateful for all of your support. And we did have some new members that also joined this week here. So I first want to give a big thanks to Super Steve, who joined in during the live stream here and became a member. We also had some new members that were gifted memberships here. And so I want to give a huge thank you to those that gifted those memberships, Evolving, the Truck and Car Guy, and Kyle. Thank you all for your generosity. I'm sure everyone that's a recipient very much appreciates it. And of course, I appreciate very much as well. And while many of those memberships did go to prior members that were able to rejoin thanks to the generous gifts of those that gifted those memberships here, I also want to give a big welcome here to the new members that were able to join. And so a big welcome here to Brian and Running Wild with Milwaukee Buck. So I hope both of you and also Super Steve are all enjoying the new membership perks here so far. And I hope to be able to chat with all of you more in the live stream here this Sunday. And for anyone else who'd like to join, become a member, there's always join buttons here on the video page, on the channel page, and also a link in the description. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'm so thankful to everyone for your support of the weekly updates and the channel in general here. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend here. And I'm overwhelmed with thankfulness here on this Thanksgiving weekend. It's just great to be able to continue to do these weekly updates here. And so anyway, let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Thank you all once more for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.